In this chapter, we're going to learn how to make scenarios in the model. We're going to use the choose function and some data validation tools to make that happen. So in order to get started here, let's create a new section following our existing formatting, and let's call it scenarios. I'm going to copy and then paste special the formatting down to scenarios. And then within scenarios, we're going to want to lay out 3 different scenarios that feed into our assumptions. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy and then paste down here the various inputs that we want for our assumptions. And I'm going to call this scenario 1. And I'm going to bold it. Let's copy that and paste it down 2 more times. So I have in total 3 scenarios. And please change each of these labels. Pressing F2 to get in to edit the cell. And then pressing enter. So now I've got scenario 1, scenario 2, scenario 3, all with the same inputs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up into the assumptions here, and I want to copy the assumptions that are already in place there and paste them into scenario 1. So I want scenario 1 to actually become the current assumptions. And then let's make 2 more scenarios. We can just start by pasting these into the scenario managers below. But then what we'll do is let's make some dramatic changes. So let's say scenario 2 is a downside scenario where revenue is actually declining 10% year over year. And let's also say that SG&A balloons to 30 million. And I'll copy that across, and we can leave the rest of it. And then let's make like a super blue sky scenario where let's say revenue is growing at 25%. And I don't think we have to change anything else because that revenue growth will really make a big impact. Maybe let's just change interest as well. Let's assume that we borrow some money to make this scenario happen, and we've got a higher interest expense, which I can copy across. So now we've got 3 distinct scenarios. Scenario 1 is like our base case. Scenario 2 is our downside case. And then scenario 3 is our upside case. Now, what I want this model to be able to do is to substitute in each of these scenarios into the live case of assumptions. So in order to do that, I'm going to use a choose function. And the choose function is going to pick between option 1, 2, and 3 in this case, and it's going to plug them in here. So I'm going to open everything up here just so we can see all parts of our model. The first thing that we can do is we can actually go in here and delete the existing assumptions. And as soon as we do that, we see that what happens is revenue is a function of the prior year plus a growth rate. So we do see a revenue line, but nothing else flows through. And now we're going to pull from our scenarios down here into the list above. So what I want to do here is give Excel 3 choices. Let's say we have option 1, option 2, and option 3. And then I want it to create a list so that I can actually select from these between 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to purposely put this in the title bar here so that I can always see what scenario is running. And I'm going to press the Alt button to engage the ribbon, and then Alt A for data, and V for validation, and then V one more time for data validation. I want to select here under settings, list. this creates a list from a selection or a source, in this case, that I choose. And I'm going to choose these three scenarios here as the list, and then I'm going to press OK. And when I click on this cell now, I see that I have three choices to choose from. So this forms the basis of our choose function. And what I'm actually going to do here is just do some formatting to clean this up. So first thing is I'm going to align it to the center, Alt-H-A-C. And then here I'm going to type scenario running, so we know which scenario is running. And the other thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to press Shift and F2 to create a comment, and I'm going to say select scenario. So I've got a little comment here. And if you want to go even further to really flag the fact that this cell needs to be selected from a list, I'm going to go press Control 1, and I'm going to go to the border section. I'm going to choose this dotted border and outline the cell. So now this really stands out as something that needs to be picked from. And I'm going to hard code these and change the font color to be blue. Pardon me. And so now we've got, this is really a formula and it's selecting from our list. So that's great. We've got a little scenario manager here. And then I'm going to go up into the assumptions section. And now what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to set the formula in each of these categories to be equal to choose. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to absolute reference this cell here. So I'm going to choose whatever scenario is in this box, and then I'm going to return, the choices to return are the revenue growth in scenario 1, comma, revenue growth in scenario 2, comma, revenue growth in scenario 3, close bracket. And now I can change this, Alt-H-F-C, to be black, because obviously it is a formula now. So now this is a choose function that's dependent on the scenario being run. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to collapse this analysis section of the model so that I can see here, so that I'm close in. And now I'm going to just test this out. I'm going to select scenario 2, down 10%, scenario 3, up 25%. Great, so I can see that this is hooked up properly. Now what I can do is, holding down Shift and then the right arrow, I'm going to press Control R. And then holding Shift and the down arrow, I'm going to press Control D. Now the formatting here is not proper, so I'm going to copy these cells, and then I'm going to select this entire area and paste special Alt-H-V-S and then T. So now everything should be all linked up properly. Let's just test it now again. So if we choose scenario 2, that's right, we see revenue down 10% year over year and SG&A went up. And let's try scenario 3. Yes, that's right, 25% revenue growth and interest expense went up. So now we can see that we've got a dynamic model in here, and what's happening is that's actually flowing through to the income statement. So if you look at the income statement on scenario 1 and then look at the income statement on scenario 3, you can see that in scenario 3 the terminal year revenue was 500 million. In the down scenario, scenario 2, it's only 97 million. So this is now flowing through to our entire model. We've got a very dynamic model set up here that's pulling from 3 different scenarios using our choose function. Let's clean this up a bit, and holding Shift and the down arrow, I want to then press Shift space bar and group these cells. So let's group them now by pressing Alt A for data, ZO for outline, G for group, G again. And now I can collapse those, and I can collapse everything here. So when I roll it all up, I see that I've got the income statement, and I've added the units here, as you recall, with this type of formula, assumptions, analysis, scenarios, and I can see right here that I'm running whatever scenario is selected here, and that's always visible and always able to change that.